Welcome to Yoga with Kaila. Let's relax and move our body with our breath. If you are loving these videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Hello and welcome to Yoga for Stress. In today's practice, we're going to work on some slow, mindful movements to help us calm and relax after a long, stressful day, week, month, or even year. So we're going to begin our practice laying on our back. So let's just plant our feet firmly down onto the mat, roll those shoulders back and down, tuck that chin slightly, and just begin to breathe. So I like to bring my hands to my belly and just beginning to bring in breath and noticing the flow of breath. So let's take our right hand and bring it up to our heart, our left hand and bring it to that lower abdomen, and let's just follow that breath. So as we inhale, we feel it rise in through the chest, the ribs, the belly. And as we exhale, it comes out belly, ribs, chest. So we're just going to notice the flow of our breath, and we're not changing anything. We're just becoming aware of that flow of breath. Really becoming aware of how it feels within our body. Can we feel it in all three parts, right? That belly, that ribs, that chest, that three-part breath. That's what this is called, right? Beginning to just bring that awareness into self, into being here today and letting go of everything. We're not judging ourselves. We're not comparing ourselves. We're removing all expectations and just opening ourselves to simply being and being here on our mats with our breath in this space. Let's do one more breath just like this. Good. Let's take that left hand from the belly and bringing it up to the forehead and bringing that hand into the middle of our chest. I just want you to become aware of your breath here. Do you feel your chest rise and fall? How does your head feel? Sometimes we have a headache, especially if we're struggling with stress and anxiety, right? We have those daily headaches. So let's bring some awareness to that space between our eyebrows, that space on our forehead here. And just see if we can breathe into that space. Can you breathe into that space in between our eyebrows? Let's do two more breaths, just like this. One more. Good. Taking the palms of our hand, we're going to place them on our hip creases, right? So there's your hip bone, and just below your hip bone, I call that your hip crease. We're just going to massage side to side. So this is where our hip flexors are, right? Those psoas muscles, they get really nice and tight, and they like to tighten when we struggle with stress and anxiety and trauma and all of that kind of craziness that happens within our lives. So our hip flexors get really tight. We get tight low back. So we're just going to massage side to side. Just bring some awareness to those hip flexors. All right, so now we're going to find that stillness. And I just want us to notice, just can you rock back and forth on that tailbone? Can you tuck and untuck? Just finding some rhythm here in your spine. How does that feel? A little sacral movement, right? Good. So now let's move that sacrum side to side. So maybe that means we have to windshield wiper our legs just slightly. We're not going into full windshield wiper. We're just coming side to side. Just windshield wipering on that sacrum, just noticing how that movement feels. Lovely. And then come back to that forward and back movement through the sacrum. Bring that awareness to how that feels, and then the side to side. I almost like to do that figure 8, right? So you're almost doing like a hip circle. You could hip circle here if it felt good to you. I find it feels really nice on that low back, upper gluteal area, kind of almost like a little mini massage here. All right, so now that we've got that movement, let's reach our arms up nice and tall, Let's extend those legs. Give yourself a wonderful good morning stretch, right? We stretch those arms up really long, the toes out really long. Bringing those arms nice and wide, feeling that big goalpost arms. Arms coming side to side. And let's roll onto one side. Coming into that fetal position. Taking a moment here and just checking in with your body, noticing how the start of your practice has begun. How has that felt, right? All right, now let's slowly come up onto all fours and press it back. Child's pose. Arms extended nice far out. We're going to inhale forward into kneeling plank. Exhale, elbows to our side, coming into that baby push-up, right? That crocodile pose, chest coming down. Inhale into baby cobra. Chest coming up, shoulders roll back and down, elbows point back along our sides. Exhale, pressing into our palms, pressing back in through that child's pose. So that's our mini flow. Let's do 2 more rounds of that. So I'll walk you through it, or you can feel free to go ahead and do this at your own pace and listening to our bodies. So let's inhale forward here. Taking a moment into your plank. So making sure we're not dropping those hips. We're staying strong and grounded, pressing through all 5 fingers. Exhale, elbows down by our sides, coming into that crocodile. Inhale, lifting through that chest, belly, ribs, chest. We're not pushing into our hands. Snakes don't have arms. Coming into that cobra. And exhale, press it back. One more, just like that. Inhaling forward. Exhale, elbows down. Coming up into that baby cobra. And exhale back, child's pose. Wonderful. Let's curl those toes under, pressing it up into our downward facing dog. Now, if it's not available to you in down dog, you could come into puppy, right? We have this option in this puppy pose. And so we always just shorten that lever. Listen to your body, meet your body with where you're at today, because yoga is for every body, right? Every body can do yoga. It's just dependent on where we're at, right? We could do yoga in a chair. We could do yoga just simply by breathing and being present with ourselves and our body, right? It doesn't have to be a set of postures that we do. So I'm going to find that lateral movement in my down dog. I like the lateral movement. I like the walking out of the dog. So you trace whatever it is that you like in your down dog. All right, let's take the right leg up high towards the sky, and we're going to drag it slow, 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 slow. So we live in stressful lives where we go fast, 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 fast. Let's take it slow. So bend that knee, drag that foot, drag, 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 drag. Once it comes forward into a position where we're in a plank, I want you to plant that foot. We're going to step your back foot in just slightly. Bend knee in that front leg with that right leg. Walk our hands up that right leg, finding warrior one. Wow, that was sneaky, wasn't it? We found that warrior one pretty easily. So any of the hand options that resonate with you in warrior one, hands at heart center. Maybe you like those goalpost arms that we warmed up with. Maybe you like your hands above your head. So you get to choose. This is your practice. Taking a couple breaths here. So from warrior one, we're going to extend long through that front leg, hinging from our hips, coming down into our pyramid posture. So pyramid can be staying here. It can be hands onto our legs, or we can drop our hands down onto our mat, dropping our forehead down towards our knee. If you had blocks, you could use blocks here, okay? So we're just taking this opportunity to check in with our body, to breathe, to listen to ourselves. Letting go. So I want you to notice with every exhale, you're able to relax a little deeper. You're able to let go a little bit more. Maybe you can roll through those shoulders, noticing if you're holding any tension through those shoulders and that upper back. Maybe noticing if you're holding any tension through that neck, right? What does that feel like? Bending nice and deep through your knees. Let's step our left foot in to meet our right foot. And slowly rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Roll out those shoulders. See how that feels. Okay. I know we did warrior one and pyramid posture on the other leg. Now we're going to just start in our mountain. So find that mountain posture, that shoulders roll down and back. And I promise you, we will continue with the left side. We're just going to do the right side first. So let's take our right leg out to the side and bring it on in. Let's find our tree pose here. So tree can be 1 foot on our mat. It can be 1 foot below the knee. You could choose to bring your foot up above your knee, right? Coming into your tree pose here. It's your choice. It's your tree pose. My favorite is just below the knee. I like to work on that hip opening, that up tall. So we often sink into that hip. We want to engage up nice and tall, growing like a tree. And you can use your big tree branches if you like up above your head. So from tree pose, we're going to take a couple breaths here, finding that balance, even if that means our foot is on the floor or on our mat, right? We're stacked. So find that tree growing nice and tall. Let's take that right leg, bringing the knee forward, take the leg out behind us, coming into toppling tree. We lean forward, right? So from the side, it looks like this. We're toppling forward. So it's not quite a warrior three. We're just in toppling tree. And apparently my balance is super fun today. Okay, so the shoulders roll down and back. Our hands are extended back by our sides. We're in our toppling tree, balancing. And let's replace that right foot back, coming back into our mountain pose. So often in life, we struggle to find balance, right? And that's why it causes us a lot of stress, is we have that balance between personal life and chores and to-do lists and also work life, right? And finding that balance. Where's my work-life balance? So here on our yoga mat, we're going to learn to practice some balance and learn that it's okay to do one thing and then another. And then we find that balance and that flow within ourselves. So this time in our mountain pose at the top of our mat, let's take our right leg, let's step it on back, bending through our left knee. Well, you will find warrior one on the other side. So I'm going to turn this way so that I can see you guys a little bit better. Okay. So we're in our warrior one. Shoulders relax down into our spine. We're breathing. Our heart center is lifted. And again, any of those hand options that we talked about the first round, maybe you had one you didn't try, or maybe you had a favorite one. I love ones with hands at heart center, so this is where I'm sticking. And let's extend nice and long through that front leg, hinging from our hips. We come down, finding that pyramid posture. So again, we can ground our hands onto our thigh, onto our shins, onto some yoga blocks, or onto the ground. And you may notice the one side is a little bit tighter than the other. Super normal, totally normal. No need to cause any judgment or anything there. We are okay. We are totally normal when one side is a little tighter than the other. And if it feels good to you today, let's tuck that forehead down towards our knee. Take some breaths. Maybe we choose to use that sinking breath. So as we inhale, we exhale a little bit and we fall a little deeper. Totally up to you, but I want you to imagine that exhale just allowing you to let go a little more, finding a little bit more space here. Good, let's bend nice and deep through our knees. Let's step our right foot in to meet our left and slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time. We come up, we find mountain pose right at the top of our mat again. Now we're gonna go into tree pose, but on the other side. Okay, so we've got this. We're gonna kick that left foot out to the side. It comes in nice and close. So it's either close to our body here or we talked about all the options, so going right into the same option we did on the other side, looking for that hip opening, lifting up through the hips, extending those arms nice and high, finding that beautiful tree. Let's kind of envision, what kind of a tree would you be? You know, what would be your favorite tree to be? I think I might be an apple tree. I love apple trees. So let's reach up nice and high. Take some breaths here in our grounded trees, rooting down through that foot that's planted. Now let's take that knee in front of us. Let's extend it behind us, dropping our arms. We hinge forward from the hips, finding that toppling tree here. Finding balance, noticing shoulders rolled back and down, opening through that heart center. Balancing is difficult, and that's okay. Life is difficult, and we learn how to do hard things here on our mats, and that's good. That way I can take that skill of learning to do hard things on my mat to learning to do hard things in my life, right? We can easily transfer the skills that we're learning. That ability to connect with our breath, to connect with ourselves. Let's take an inhale coming back through center and relax, let it go. So maybe that means you need to shake it out. Shake it out a little bit. Okay, we're in our mountain pose. Let's inhale, arms sweep up high towards the sky. Exhale, swan diving forward, hinging from our hips. We lead through heart center, bending through our knees. Our sit bones rise up high towards the sky. Our belly rests on our thighs and our head tucks down towards our mats. We're going to lift those sit bones up high towards the sky in our forward fold, and we ground our hands. So if your hands don't quite reach the ground, you could have yoga blocks or again, your shins or your thighs. But we're just going to let ourselves hang. The best part about relaxing, I love, is I just love letting it go. So I want you just to remove any kind of expectations. Just now, let's let our arms hang. Let's let our head hang. For some people, that feels good to just grab elbow to elbow, and maybe we rock side to side. Maybe we walk forward and back, but I just want you to imagine that that space on your low back is just letting go. It's melting. It's like butter, right? It's just totally feeling at ease. Sometimes it feels good to ragdoll. Maybe you want to ragdoll and you want to sweep your arms side to side. Again, this is your practice, right? You get to do whatever it is that you feel like you want to do in this practice, in this space. This is for you. It's for no one else. We take this time for ourselves. And when we take time to better ourselves and to make ourselves feel better and working towards our goals, it just makes us overall better. We're able to be a better friend, a better child, a better parent, a better citizen. We just are able to give back, right? It's in giving that we receive, right? So amazing. Let's take a nice deep bend through our knees, planting our hands on the mat if they're not already planted. Let's step it back into our downward facing dog. Press it back. So just like we did that kneeling flow at the very beginning, we're going to do a full flow, and you have that option to drop down to your knees at any point. You can mix and match, fold knees. It's completely up to you. So from child's pose or downward facing dog, let's inhale forward into plank. Option to drop your knees. Let's take a couple deep breaths here in our plank. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Feeling strong. Good. Option to drop the knees, elbows pointing back towards our spine, and we're going to come down into our crocodile. And then inhale, lifting up. Baby cobra. Exhale, pressing it back. Downward facing dog. Let's do one more, just like that. We're going to actually pause halfway through, okay? So let's inhale forward into our plank. Exhale, crocodile. And inhaling, we're going to come up into upward facing dog. So in up dog, everything is lifted. Just going to find that lateral movement maybe. Keeping everything lifted from our feet to our hands. Good. Let's press back. Downward facing dog. Oh, feels so good. Okay. Let's drop our knees, press it back. Child's pose. Take a moment here and just check in. Check in with your breath. Maybe you're doing that 3-part breath that we started with, right? Can you find that breath, that belly, ribs, chest, chest, ribs, belly? Can you find that? Do a little mini body scan. How do your feet feel? How do your calves feel? Right? Sometimes we don't know how things are feeling unless we actually physically check in and notice that area and that space. Let's reach those arms way forward. Inhaling, we're going to bring ourselves down onto our bellies. Okay, so our hands are planted underneath our shoulders. We're going to press up, coming in to a cobra, so full cobra instead of baby cobra. So we're pressed up, pressing through our hands, our palms, pressing out of that shoulder joint, noticing our belly pointing forward. So I want you to imagine your belly is like a flashlight. So we're going to shine that flashlight side to side. And I want you to imagine as we shine that flashlight, it just slowly dissipates any kind of fog in your brain, in your space, right? We're just allowing that belly flashlight to shine side to side. Just to let out that personal power, right? Our solar plexus chakra is so related to the personal power, our belief in self. Good, nice. Let's press it back, finding that child's pose once again. That was amazing, right? Good job shining your light. Good. Inhaling forward, let's drop our hips off to one side, coming into a seated position. So here we're going to find our boat pose. So we're going to extend those legs out long, tucking those knees, sitting up nice and tall through heart center. From here, we lean slightly back. Our hands are going to plant onto the ground behind us. I like my fingers to point towards my feet. It is completely up to you. So finding that point of balance. Sometimes you need to move some junk out of the way in order to find that balance point, but it's not on your sit bones and it's not all the way back on your sacrum. So just find that point of balance. It's like that flat area. Chest is lifted. We find that balance point and we're going to find boat pose. So very start, we're just going to lift one leg and down. Lift the other leg. Good. So you have the option to stay here. You could hold one side and breathe. This is option 1. Option number 2, we lift 2 legs and we hold here and breathe. Now, you want an option 3? I know you probably do. So if you're looking for option number 3, we're up into that boat pose and you have that option to row your boat. Now you're probably thinking, Kaila, why did we choose boat pose for dealing with stress yoga practice? Because I need you to know that you are strong enough to hold yourself up. Even when you feel like you're sinking, you are strong enough. You are powerful enough. You've got this. You can stay afloat. Bring that awareness to your breath. Know that you have power. You have control. You can come out at any time. Exhale, let it go. Extend those legs out long. Sit the glutes back, sitting up nice and tall. Shake it out if it feels good to shake it out. That's okay, right? Let's find that butterfly pose. Rock it side to side. Right? We gotta have that opportunity to take flight, to transform ourselves, our vision of ourselves, to transform our life. We have that ability to make choices that completely transform us. Isn't that amazing? You are just truly an amazing individual. You really are. Good. Take that head to one side. Drop the ear towards your shoulder. We hold so much stress in that shoulder region. And if you want, so whatever way your head is pointing, take the opposite arm and extend it out. So whatever side you're stretching on your neck, take that arm. And you might notice the stretch come all the way out to your fingertips. Good. Come back up through center. Drop your head to the other ear. Take some breaths here for a moment. Good. Let's take the other arm out and stretch it out. See if you can find that stretch all the way to your fingertips. Wonderful. Coming back through center. Good. So let's take one leg out, one leg in. Turn our body over the leg that's out, and let's bring our chest down and forward. So the goal isn't here about touching our toes. The goal here is bringing that chest down, and you should feel the stretch in that low back region, in those haunches, right? We talked about the hip flexors pulling up from the top of your hip bone on one side all the way up to the other side, and sometimes we get that low back pain. So sometimes that can also be caused because we're not stretching out that low back region enough, right? It holds us up all day long, and sometimes we don't always give it the grace that it needs to just simply relax, to stretch a little bit. If it feels good, you can tuck that forehead down towards your knee. Good, slowly coming up. Let's do the other side. Leg in, leg out. Turn your body over that leg that's out and come down and forward. So again, not about touching your toes. It's just about finding that position where we can come down and forward. Breathing. Noticing if you can relax a little more. Can you tuck that forehead down? Good, slowly coming up. Let's grab onto the back of one leg and let's roll down into our spine. Bringing our knees in towards our chest. Just that opportunity to rock side to side. Maybe we rock forward and back. Side to side, do some little figure eights. Whatever it is, let that low back go. Lovely. Okay, so let's extend our left leg out nice and long. Taking that right knee, I'm going to clasp above my knee. I'm going to bring it out and around that rib cage and holding it in nice and tight towards that right shoulder. Dropping that shoulder down towards our mat, flexing our left foot, right? Allowing that calf to stay engaged with our mat. So welcome to wind removing posture, my friends. If you're wondering why it's called wind removing posture, you might find out soon. Maybe you won't. But it does massage out that digestive tract just a little bit. It also compresses that hip joint. So we're going to send some rich oxygenated blood in through that hip joint. Right? Flashing out all of that stress, that worry. Exhale, let it go. So right leg goes out, flex the right leg. Whoo. Left leg comes in, pull the knee in, comes out and around that rib cage, and comes in towards that left shoulder. Right foot is flexed, toes pulling back towards our face. Calf is engaged with our mat, shoulders relax back and down. Compression of the left hip socket here, massaging out the left abdomen. Find that breath. Notice. Bring that awareness into yourself, into that space between our eyebrows. Can we relax our forehead? Good, let's extend that left leg out. Good, let's take that right knee, bend your foot, or bend your knee, sorry. Place your foot on your mat. It'd be funny if we were bending our feet. Okay, arms are gonna come out side to side. Pressing into our right foot, we're gonna lift our hips up and over to the left. Knee comes across our body. We're gonna take our head and look out towards that right arm. Allow that foot to just hang wherever it needs to hang. So this is our supine spinal twist, and if it feels good to you, you can bring that left hand onto that right knee. Totally up to you. We're not forcing a stretch. And I don't want you ranking or pulling on your knee. Just allowing a gentle stretch here. You should feel that through that right side body, through your glutes. Bring that awareness back to your breath. And maybe we're using that sinking breath. So the sinking breath, every time we exhale, we sink a little deeper into our mat. Become a little bit more aware of how relaxed we're feeling. Good. Coming back through center. Let's extend that right leg out long, left leg bends. We press into our left heel, lift our hips up and over to the right. Knee comes across, and we look over to that left side. Supine spinal twist on the left. Coming back to that sinking breath, that ability to relax with each breath that we're taking, to find a little bit more peace and stillness here. Noticing that left side body stretching and just beginning to relax a little bit more. Coming out of that sympathetic state, we come into that parasympathetic state, that ability to find relaxation, to ground a little deeper within ourselves, within the space, within the earth. Inhale, coming back through center. We're going to extend both legs out long. Now, if you have any pinching in your low back, you could choose to bend your knee, bend your knees, allow your knees to knock inward on each other. That supports that low back. So totally up to you. We're going to come into something called basic exercise. And basic exercise is a great way to really stimulate the engagement of that parasympathetic response, that relaxation response in our body, and realigning our nervous system. So we're going to take our hands, you're going to clasp them, you're going to bring them around your head and allow them to relax on your upper vertebrae and the back of your head, so into that cranium there. Allow those elbows to fall to the side and just finding that nice, easy, comfortable position. So from here, we're looking up high towards our ceiling or sky, wherever it is that you are at in space. We're looking up. Now, without moving our head, we're going to take our eye gaze. We're going to gaze over to the right. So without moving your head, take your eyes to the right. I know this is going to get a little weird, but I promise you'll feel a little bit more relaxed after. So as we're gazing to the right, even if your eyes keep wanting to trace back to center, I want you to keep looking off to the right. So find something that you can keep searching for in your right-handed gaze. I know it feels a little weird within your head space. And when you yawn, sigh, or swallow, I want you to bring your eyes back to center. So don't force anything, just allow yourself to yawn, sigh, or swallow whenever it's time. So take as much time as you need there to yawn, sigh, or swallow. And when you have, come back to center with your eye gaze. Just take some blinks, breathe a little bit. I know it feels a little bit funny. It kind of makes you feel a little dizzy sometimes, yeah. But we're realigning that nervous system here. Okay, so now if you are still looking off to the right and you haven't yawned, sighed, or swallowed, take more time. Pause the video, take some time here, and take as much time as you need. If you have already yawned, sighed, or swallowed, and we're back to center, let's take our eye gaze over to the left now without moving our head. We're just gazing off to the left, same thing on this side. Yawn, sigh, or swallow, and bring your your eye gaze back to center. So even if your eyes keep tracing away from the left, I want you to keep taking them left. So take as much time as you need. Yawn, sigh, or swallow. Come back to center. Blink a couple times. Now let's do a little bit of a body scan. I want you to pause the video if you're still waiting to yawn, sigh, or swallow. And then we're going to begin to body scan. So if you're back to center with me here, let's scan our body. Let's start at our toes, and maybe we soften our gaze. Maybe that means closing it. You can choose to bring your hands down by your side into Savasana. You can keep your hands behind your head, whatever is comfortable for you. We're just going to scan from our toes all the way up, our legs, our belly, our hands, our shoulders, all the way to the top of our head, and just notice, how does it feel? Do you feel relaxed? Can you take an inhale and inhale all the way down to the tips of your toes? Can you take your next inhale and inhale all the way up to the top of your head? And as you exhale all the way down to the tips of your toes. So see if you can drag that breath. How long can you make your inhales and your exhales? How slowly can you inhale? How slowly can you exhale? Play around with your breath a little bit here. Let's do 2 more breaths. Good. Let's take our right arm, extending it up above our head, rolling onto our side body. Let's slowly press it up, coming up to an easy seated position near the top of our mat. I hope that you enjoyed this practice, relaxation a little bit more, stepping out of that stress a little bit. Thank you so much for joining me here today. The light in me bows and honors the light in you. Namaste.